Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. We have a big day of racing up ahead and a return of jumps racing from Aintree and Chepstow. We also have good meetings from Newbury and Doncaster, who staged the last Group 1 held in England this year. As always, I am joined by Timeform's Callum Medell, Adam Webb, and we have a special guest for you tonight in the shape of Michael Andrews. Michael, welcome to On the Other Hoof, my friend.
My name is Michael Andrews, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm back.
He's back and he's an alcoholic now. How's university life treating you?
Yeah, great. I've managed to just pigeonhole this in between my hectic social life. So as long as we don't finish too late, I should be here for the rest of the evening.
When you say when you say hectic social life, you really mean in between drinking alone in your room?
Panto, drinking, and reading really late. Like, when I say late, I mean like literally reading on the way to my seminar. So yeah.
You don't read in first year. You don't do work in first year. How dare you?
I've got 4,000 words to hand in next Monday, so that could be an interesting one. But fingers crossed anyway.
You've got like a whole day for that tomorrow, or on Sunday.
Actually, you work. Bloody hell. Poor guy.
Well, it sounds like you're settling into university life very well. One thing you guys at home could settle into is our show, On the Other Hoof. We want to hear from you. Send your questions into @OnTheOtherHoof on Twitter. Send your fancies for tomorrow into @OnTheOtherHoof on Twitter. You'll find out on our Twitter page about everything show-related. We are doing Breeders' Cup shows next week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, next week. God, I got lost. We're doing Breeders' Cup shows next week. We'll be doing them for the Friday and also for the Saturday. Huge weekend of racing next week. We also have a special guest in Andrew Rideout, who was here with us last year and gave some informative analysis on the American horses. We're going to get straight into the action, though. The 150 at Newbury is the first port of call. The Worthington's Whiz Kid Stakes, as you know it. The Horace Hill Stakes, Group 3 over 7 furlongs, not really the strongest of renewals. Lexington Times probably boasts the best form in the race, with his third in the Solario when beaten by Actabante and Future Empire. You're quite a fan of Lexington Times, aren't you, Callum?
Am I?
I thought you were. Was it you?
Chris was the one that was really hyping him up.
Someone else was a fan of Lexington Times.
I think it's because I'm a fan of that maiden that he won. The first eight have won since, and he's the only one not to have won out of the first 8. So yeah, I mean he sets a pretty decent standard on Solario run. I don't think it's all that, to be perfectly honest. I mean the front 2 that day have both been beaten since, albeit in fair grade, but I don't think he's. I'll be a little bit disappointed if something isn't as good as him, because he's not necessarily a world beater, and he's certainly not a horse that should be winning a Group 3 or should be at least 15-8 favourite for what a standard renewal this would be. It's just going for what I think can beat him, and again, the market's got it pretty spot on. Mikayam is a horse I quite like, done fairly well in nurseries, or in one nursery he won, but then kind of got a little bit outclassed behind commemorative last time. Maybe wasn't at his best that day, but I don't think the step back down to 7 is necessarily what he wants. Should be okay on the ground. Not So Sleepy was quite impressive the other week at Nottingham. He's worth a try in this grade. I don't know, to be honest. I might just go for Mikayam, but it's not, like you can tell, it's a pretty tentative selection. So, I mean, I'm not sure about the trip, but he's going to be quite stamina sapping tomorrow, that ground, so that might hold him in good stead, and he looks to have a little bit more class than the favourite.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not the easiest race to start us off, really, this week on the other hoof. Adam, have you got any sort of ideas to what the likely winner is?
Well, I'm actually going for more inexperience rather than the experience, because I think some of these horses are pretty exposed. I mean, Lexington Times is third in the Solarium, probably does boast the best form, but I think he's worth opposing with Not So Sleepy, who won really nicely, and it's a rare Huey Morrison debut winner. And he won really nicely at Nottingham. Some of the horses in behind I quite like for the future as well. The drop back in trip isn't a worry for me. We know he gets a mile already, so I think the drop back on this ground is no issue. And I'd rather go with inexperience and take a punt and rather go with something like Lexington Times, as we don't really know how good Not So Sleepy is, and he's well worth a go in the grade.
Yeah, well, I am going to side with Lexington Times. It's more a case that I couldn't really fancy anything else in the race. His Solario run is the clear standout on form. As Callum alluded to, it's not really the strongest of races to go forward with Actabante, Future Empire. Cock for the North obviously runs later on in the afternoon at Doncaster. But it's just he got tired in the final few strides. Probably the last 20 yards he was caught. Other than that, he had them all beat at every stage in the race. But Chris Dixon actually made a very good point on Racing UK earlier on that they went slow and the racers completely run to suit. He's just more of the one with more of a sprinting pedigree than anything else in the race. So it's understandable that he got away from him at that right time, but I still feel that he showed enough class that day to sort of justify a 15-8 favouritism in a race like this. I couldn't really have anything else in the race. Not So Sleepy's the interesting one, obviously, is open to a lot of improvement. But for me, I'd be with Richard Hannon, and something I swore I'd never do last week after Night of Thunder, and go with a Richard Hughes horse.
No problem. Less said about it, the better. That's my line on that. Let's never talk about it again on this show.
It was horrible. The last person to talk about the Horace Hill is Michael Andrews. Michael, what's going to win it?
I must admit, I thought you forgot me then. I was thinking you're just used to not having me on the pitch. Right then, the next race is... I must admit, the two that Callum mentioned were the two that I was most interested in. The one word I wrote down when I was looking at this race was disinterested. I can't really believe it's a Group 3. But Mukayam, I think, is the one, likes conditions, stays a mile. But one thing I did want to question was the fact that I didn't realise that Macatoom sent horses to Sir Michael Stout. I found that quite interesting to see he was trained by Michael Stout. There's no horse that I could think that was trained by Stout for him in recent times anyway. Pardon?
He's had loads.
I just couldn't think of any. I was thinking about it. There's nothing that came to mind.
I think I know one. Me and Luke will remember. I can't remember his name, but he was the Derby horse who saw it Goodwood that didn't turn out to be a Derby horse.
Oh, balls. Yeah.
That one.
Same idea,
Anyway, while we're doing the trivia quiz set by Adam,
I don't remember it.
Not So Sleepy was the other one that I thought was interesting. Obviously, likes soft ground as well, so that shouldn't be a problem. And I quite like the fact that Not So Sleepy beat a horse that definitely would be in the Noit Lucky 15 in She Is No Lady, which I think has got to be done in some creepy accent last time out. But yeah, Mukayam I think is the one to win this. I think the rest are exposed. I did like Foxtrotter, but has been pretty disappointing last couple of starts. And then that applies for what I'm going to pronounce as Shmee at the bottom with Dettori for Hannon.
You're going to go for Shmee and not Smeher. I think that's a much better way of saying it.
I think there should be some. I think Shmee is worried about Captain Hook, so we'll go with Shmee. Oh, it's actually German bred. I realised that. Black Sun.
Best horse in the world, that.
Thanks, Ryan.
Best horse in the world, now. Also, Michael, to you, it's Sir Michael Stout, not Michael Stout.
Oh, sorry.
Who do you think you are, you peasant?
To all of us, it's Sir Michael Stout.
No, not me. I know him personally.
Well, Marahel. That Marahel was Hamdam.
Arbab, that's the one I was trying to remember before.
Arbab, that's the one. Good old Arbab.
There's loads.
Yeah, none that stick out for me.
Yeah, I can't really remember them to be honest, but there is quite a lot.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm doing a lot of research to back up my argument. The next race to cover is our first protocol at jumping, or proper jumping on the other hoop this season. The 2 o'clock at Aintree, the Betfred TV handicap hurdle over 2 miles and a furlong. A few names from last year, really. Cat Gary was a bit unlucky at the festival, finishing a close second. Gardler Victoire didn't make it to the festival and won, I think, at Taunton on festival week. So a bit of a wide open affair here. Adam, you quite like the look of this race early on, didn't you, actually?
Yeah, I did, because you've got some good novices from last year, and you've also got the juveniles as well. Gardner Victoire, I think he deserves to be favourite. I mean, but his best form, I thought, at the end of the season was when he stepped up in trip. And I just think the step back in trip would be a worry for him tomorrow. I mean, that handicap mark does look attractive, but I just think tomorrow, if he was running in a 2.5 race, I think he'd be more appealing. Cat Gary at Aintree, he was a bit interesting because I thought in his conventional jockeys race, he actually looked a bit one pace when he was 6 to Court Minstrel. And I just think on a flatter track, you want more of a trip. The one that I do like is Wadswick Court, who should be, I'd say he should be 3 from 3 over hurdles. Technically, well, he is 2 from 3. But when Wobbly Yonder fell at the last at Ascot, he was left in front and he just stopped, and Mountain King came and got him.
I wouldn't say he should be 3 from 3 because either way, if Wobbly Yonder stood up, he would beat him. But
I mean, when I'm saying that he should be 3 from 3, when Wobbly Yonder fell, he should have picked up the pieces of wood. That's the way I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And I thought it through earlier, and it still sounded wrong when I said he should be 3 from 3. But if Wobbly Yonder had stood up, he would have won by about 10 lengths, and he would have probably finished second that day. Well, he did finish second, but he would have finished second to Wobbly Yonder. I think he's got a nice handicap mark, and I think that it'll be him and Handazan that could go from the front. And I think that Noel Feely and Charlie Longson can start the day. They could have a very good day at Aintree tomorrow, and I think he can start the day off well for them.
Not like Charlie Longston to have a winner at this time of year. Mike, actually, isn't this a year to the day that Magnifique won last year?
It is, yeah, it is.
Oh.
Don't.
I'm sorry.
Don't.
As soon as I started that sentence, I thought I should stop. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's alright. I'm leaving.
Moving on swiftly, Michael, the first race at Aintree.
Yeah, interesting race actually. Unfortunately, you're incorrect. Gardner Victor did go to the festival by Victor and the Supreme.
When did you run at Taunton then? Was that Aintree week?
Yeah, Aintree week.
A couple of weeks after that.
Yeah.
It was Aintree week. Yeah.
He ran a memorable race at the festival. I'll give him that.
Yeah. This is a really interesting race. You've got some really decent horses in this. But like I remember repeating this last year, the fact that the results in the first couple of weeks of the jump season will be a bit dodgy because there'll be, especially Paul Nicholls, his horses seem to be taking quite a few runs to get ready and ready to rumble as such. And it's a lot of the smaller trainers in the early part of the season and the end of the season seem to pick up quite a lot of the decent prizes where you wouldn't expect them because they're getting their horses ready. When possibly the stronger yards are only just bringing them back. But Philip Hobbs has had an absolute belter of a start, and I think Gardner Victoire should take this. I'm expecting Cat Gary to lead the run. Hawk High, likewise, in fairness. Wadswick Court is an interesting one for Charlie Longson, considering they normally do pretty decent around this time, and I think that they're really your top four you're looking at. The others I think need to improve. I was never part of the Broughton fan club when that one came over to the jumps. And Cormac Cavity, I think, is not quite at this level, but does seem to surprise at a few points. Mickey Henderson. So yeah, Gardner Victor for me is a decent horse, and obviously one on this card. You want a maiden hurdle.
Yeah, you can Regal Encore.
Beating Regal Encore, the horse that everyone thought never was.
Well, we can discuss that a bit later. Well, actually, no, we can't because he's not on Channel 4. But I cannot get McCall McCavity right. He was one of my favourite horses on the flat. He went hurdling, and I thought, yeah, that's what you really need. And I've never backed him when he's won a flat or jump. So I can never get it right. I'm with Michael and Gardner Victoire, however. I agree with Adam that he'll be better over a bit further. I think 2 mile 1, he'll get away with it tomorrow if they go a good enough clip. Philip Hobbs has been getting his string ready first time out, which is something that Paul Nicholls just simply hasn't been doing this year. Whether there's more than meets the eye there, and it's not just a case of not getting it ready first time, whether there's maybe an illness in the yard. I'm not speculating, but there's a lot of them that aren't really running their race first time out.
I've got a little thing. He wrote his blog today. They've put a new gallop in, and it took a month longer to set it in, and that is one of the reasons he gave in his Betfair column earlier.
Yes.
I think it is fitness. I don't think it's anything to do with illness or anything, because they are running well to a point, and then they all look as though they needed the run, and they are still winning big enough races, but they need the run.
I think the biggest example for me is Alcala, who just travels so well and stopped. So I don't know. I'm a bit tentative about the Nichols horses at the moment, which is fair enough. Wadswick Court is one that interests me massively. It completely stopped, as Adam mentioned earlier on in the race, that he really should have won if with Wobbly on the falling in front and basically gifting him the race. The weird thing about him is that they seem to front run with him, yet at Ascot he just seemed to stop when in front on his own. So whether they're going to try and tuck him in tomorrow and make him or help him settle, it'll be interesting to see. The others, like Michael, I can't really see getting into it. Hawkeye, I think, will need a bit further. So I'm just going to be boring and go for the favourite here with Garde La Victoire, who should be a bit better than a mark of 140. Callum, I imagine you've got quite a strong view on Wadswick Court, haven't you?
Yeah, I like the horse, and we'll probably I will definitely support him tomorrow, obviously, because he's trained by Charlie. But I think this is a really good race, to be honest, and he's got his work cut out in this sort of level for an early season jumps race. I think it's properly good, and I agree with Adam actually on Garde La Victoire. I do think he wants further. It just seemed a much better horse stepping up to another 3 furlongs or so. I thought he just looks a far better horse than he did at 2 miles, and I agree. I think he might get away with it tomorrow. I think he'll run well, but improvement will definitely come over further, and I think improvement will definitely come over further with Cat Gary as well, who is another I think might get away with it tomorrow, but I would like to see him over further. And speaking of Paul Nicholls, I mean, if you look at the substance of the horses that have been running, a lot of his horses have just been running to form, and there's a couple of maybe just lacking that little bit extra to go and win their races, but his form aren't out of touch at all. So it wouldn't really necessarily worry me. If Cat Gary's good enough, then I think he'll win. But again, it's just a trick for me. I just think he maybe wants a little bit further. So I couldn't back Red Merlin because it's trained by Donald McCain. Wadswick Court. I'll go for Wadswick Court. Interestingly, there's a Cheltenham Festival winner, which I'm going to call the Cheltenham Festival the Cheltenham Jumps Championships now. Yeah, so we've got a Jumps Championship winner in Hawkeye and a Jumps Championship second in Cat Gary. And they're pretty big prices. So.
When you do that, can you not put on like some massive over-the-top American accent?
I can't.
We got
sorry.
The Jumps Championship winner here. Proper good.
The Spring Carnival.
It just feels something that seems appropriate at the time.
Yeah, no. Look, we'll cut it short. I'll go for Wadswick. I think he'll run well, and he'll be fit and ready, and he's one that'll appreciate 2 miles a little bit more than the rest, but he will get further as well. So.
Well, it's Charlie Longster's time of year, isn't it?
It is his time of year. It is his time of year. Not at these bigger meetings necessarily, but at the smaller meetings, he just mops up, doesn't he? So.
Was it just me that thought that sounded really wrong the moment I said it?
No.
No? Okay, good. Happy to get away with it. The next race to cover is a 2:10 at Doncaster. Scott Dobson Memorial Doncaster Stakes. A listed race of 6 furlongs.
It's not on Channel 4.
It's not on Channel 4?
No.
Racing Post have lied to me.
Which one?
Scott Dobson's not on Channel 4.
I've got... Yeah, Racing Post has that down. Oh, thank God, I hate that race.
Brow wins it anyway.
Yeah, Brow
wins that.
Is it not on Channel 4?
No. It wasn't.
What do you know? Racing Post have made a mistake.
Oh my God, this website sucks.
Interestingly, this is the race last year that Night of Thunder won, and he won it really well.
I had a nice line going into this. Are there any Night of Thunders in there? No, clearly not.
No.
Just to make sure the rest of the races the Racing Post haven't made up and lied about, we've got 2:20 at Newbury, 2:40 at Doncaster, 3 o'clock at Aintree, 3:15 Doncaster, 3:30 Newbury, 3:50 at Doncaster.
Yep.
Yep.
Amateurs.
Thanks very much, Racing Post. Not like them to make mistakes. Anyway, the next race we're going to cover is the 2:20 at Newbury, the Worthington's Burleson Inn Stakes, registered as the St Simon Stakes, Group 3 over 1 mile 4.5 yards. I looked at this race earlier on and thought it was more of a case of what can't win than what can win, if you understand it. It's just that I couldn't really get excited about anything in the race at all. I imagine Michael will absolutely adore this race, as there's not that many runners and it's not a handicap.
No, this is actually one of my more confident selections, which is quite strange. And I just think that Sky Hunter is back to best. Well, not back to best, but back to a lot better than what most of these can perform, considering he was placed behind Intello. If you take that solid Group 1 Prix de Jockey Club, Intello obviously won plenty of times since before finishing third in the Arc that year. And Sky Hunter was, if you watch the race back, Graham Lee didn't really, he just kind of threatened Sky Hunter with the whip, as opposed to actually hitting him, and just kind of jivvied him along and went quite clear of a decent horse in Sanokian Star. And I just don't think many of these are really up to that level. You can discount Island Remedy, Quiz Mistress, Rewaki as well. I can't have that one. Henglai Pavilion has been pretty disappointing. I know Adam is going to give you some glorious spiel about Glorious Protector. Battalion, who likes to calling it, also known as Battalion.
You
That
blame the
wasn't
wrong
me that called him.
person.
It wasn't me that called him Battalion.
Who was it? It was Adam. Oh dear,
It
oh
was
dear.
Scouse.
Oh dear, Scouse.
Battle Lion.
Battalion. I couldn't believe that. That one will appreciate the soft ground, but I don't. I think he's been quite disappointing this year. Hasn't really improved as much as he was expected to do after that Yarmouth win last year. So I think it's between Sky Hunter and Glorious Protector. Also, I do remember saying this at some point, that Ryan Moore did tell Ed Dunlop that Red Galileo he thinks is a miler, and finally they drop him back down to a mile, which is quite interesting. I overheard that conversation in Goodwood once when I was not meant to be. And he obviously was only beaten a short head by Nubuko over a mile and a half last time out, and I think that could be an interesting form line. But Sky Hunter for me, considering the Prix de Jockey Club form and the fact that he was gelded before his run last time out. Go.
Did you just say that they dropped Red Galileo back to a mile?
Yeah.
It's not a mile. Oh crap! I've
It's a mile and a half.
Yeah, you know, you're only half a mile short.
It's even more stamina sapping than last time.
5 yards. Sorry, the thing was hiding it from me. That's really irritating. So clearly, Ed Dunlop decided to.
He's an idiot, Ed Dunlop, because the horse has been. I agree. It just doesn't look like he stays a mile and a half to me.
No,
I know he stayed on pretty well last time, but it was a slowly run race.
I was getting excited that Ed Dunlop was actually going to listen to Ryan Moore, but clearly not. So when Red Galileo does finally drop down to a mile, then maybe that's the time to back it. So it makes me more confident about Sky Hunter, and I think Sky Hunter.
Melbourne Cup.
Sorry?
He'll go for the Melbourne Cup at some time.
Yeah, in those colours probably, when Red Galileo drops back to wherever he's going to go. Good old Red Galileo.
Contesting the King Stand next year now. Callum, have you got any particular fancy in this? You were keen on Sky Hunter last time, actually, weren't you?
I tipped him up. I just thought he was going to be a class above, and definitely was, and the hood made a difference. Gelding him definitely made a difference, and yeah, I can't get away from him tomorrow, to be honest. Soft ground, I think, will suit, and I'm still not convinced Glorious Protector really wants this ground. I know he's got some decent form on softer ground, but he looked quite laboured last time out in a similar race to this, and his previous improvement in form has come on better ground. I know he's a horse that's bled before as well, so I just don't think he likes this sort of stamina sapping ground, and but he's by far the one with the most potential in the race, because I do rate the horse a lot, and I rate Ed Walker a hell of a lot. But yeah, Sky Hunter for me, I think he's just going to be too good for the rest of them. The rest of them I couldn't really have at all.
Yeah, I thought instead of talk about one horse, I'd go through all of them very quickly and say why they're not going to win. Battalion, or Battalion, just it doesn't look up to this grade for me. It hasn't won since winning a handicap. It's run okay, but not threatened to win. Glorious Protector, the ground is a severe worry for me. Penglai Pavilion, no. Rewaki, I can give a chance to Rewaki, assuming that maybe he's got a bit of confidence of his win last time, because he hadn't won in quite a while before till then. Sky Hunter is my most likely idea of a winner. Quiz Mistress needs to improve for me. Red Galileo, not a stayer at this trip, and Isla Ramid, again, not good enough at this kind of level. So Sky Hunter for me wasn't back to his best last time by any means, but was at a sort of adequate level to win races like this. If he was back to his best, he'd win this doing absolute handstands. This is probably a similar standard to last time as well, actually, maybe a little bit better. But at 9-4, again, I just think we have to sort of trust that the best horse in the race will run to somewhere near his ability, and go with Sky Hunter at 9-4. Rawaki's probably the biggest danger at 11-2, but probably needs further after winning over a bit further than this last time out. So Sky Hunter for me, Rawaki's not an each way price at all, which is annoying. But Sky Hunter is your winner for me. And Adam, are you with Sky Hunter as well?
Yes, I am. I'll explain why I'm not with Glorious Protector this time, being as I've put him up the last couple of times. Ed Walker said that the ground was plenty soft enough for him last time, and the lack of pace did him last time as well behind Hillstar. And I just think with the softer ground, he said that he'd be better on better ground as well. With the ideas they've got for him, I'm still keeping the horse on side for next year, because I think when they go globe-trotting with him, I think he'll be very interesting, and he probably will go in the flat video next year. But yes, Sky Hunter, he came back to a level last time out, which is probably good enough to win this. If you go back to last year, as Michael said, with the form of Intello, it's leaps and bounds with most of these. Battalion, last time out, he hung to that stand rail at Kempton, and that was really worrying. And that was after being gelded as well, which I found really worrying.
Well done, Adam.
And the rest of them, I can't really see.
We can see the cogs going round slowly.
Slowly done, yeah. Sky Hunter's the one here, and yeah, that's all I've got to say.
That took a while, I'm not going to lie. Actually, Michael, when you were on last, you were slow to get something.
Yeah, I was really slow to get something. It was a lot slower than that, but I can't remember what it was. It was some joke that I was clearly not really paying attention to.
I said something that sounded wrong.
Luke. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't. I'm surprised that you didn't think like Glorious Protector is clearly a class act. You know, having that Hillstar form, he obviously won that really strong.
Oh,
Group
Hillstar is a Group 1 winner now.
Yeah. So his main sequence. What's Grandeur again, Adam?
Joys of Lasix.
Grandeur.
Listed class. No.
It's beating Doris around Skegness Beach at the moment, I think. No. Next race to cover the 240 at Doncaster. The Bet3 the Racing Post app handicap, if they put links to the right races, then I don't know. The over a mile and a half. It's a tricky race. Callum, you're a fan of Forgotten Hero, aren't you? But a bit worried about the jockey booking.
Yeah, I'm not worried about William Buick. I've got nothing against William Buick. By the way, the race title, I didn't know you could bet through the Racing Post app. They don't mention it on the app, so. Forgotten Hero, yeah, he's a horse I really like, and it's just the problem with him is he's quite keen in his races, and Jamie Spencer, to be fair to him, gets a really good tune out of this horse. He settles in perfectly, and he always seems to run to his best at the moment when Jamie Spencer's on him, and I don't know why they ran him in the Cambridgeshire last time out. The trip's just too short for him, and he prefers a bit of cut in the ground, which he gets tomorrow. And 12 furlongs at a course that he's won at before. I think he's got to be a bet tomorrow. There's a bit of pace on, so I'm hoping that William Buick gets him settled. It happened a little bit too quick for him when he was too keen at Sandown. I was really keen on him at Sandown when he was behind. Well, a race that ended up bizarre result in the end. I think all the place horses were big outsiders, and I thought, well, where the hell they come from? But yeah, Forgotten Hero for me. Dangers, Knife Point, really consistent type, should go well again. Open Eagle's really well handicapped on his form from last year. I see he's in the sales as well, so it might be a David O'Mara, get the best out of him and then send him off to the sales kind of job. So yeah, I do like Forgotten Hero though, as I've mentioned already, so I'll definitely have a bet on him.
Yeah, Adam, you're the winner?
I actually quite like Dashing Star with Andrew Atzani booked. I think that's a really good booking as well. I mean, he's shown some good handicap form this year already. I mean, he was fifth at Royal Ascot behind Arab Spring, and he's also got form on softer ground as well. He was second in the Melrose last year to Dark Crusader. Even though he's off top weight, I think that his time has come. I think he's ready to pounce, and I think tomorrow could be it with that Zany book.
Actually, very disheartened to agree with Adam there. It's been slowly coming down the handicap. This Dashing Star down to 97 now, running off 100 4 runs ago. But I just felt like he's been waiting for softer ground. He's been running well on faster surfaces, but he also won his maiden on soft ground as well. And as Adam mentioned, the good run in the Melrose last year. I don't know. I can just see him being potentially a nice enough price. I don't know what price he is at the moment. If any of you could shed any light on that.
Who?
Dashing Star.
Price on Dashing. Hang on.
It's 7-1, 7-1, 6-1.
So, yeah, okay, that's for me. That's an each way price anyway. It's a tough race. I've really sort of first looked at it and more wanted to break down crying more than anything. I respect Forgotten Hero. But if holding a gun to my head, I'd go with Dashing Star. But it's really not a strong selection from me whatsoever. This is Michael's kind of race, though, so hopefully Michael's going to point us in the way of a winner.
Yeah, I've got two horses that I really quite like. Oasis Fantasy's been on my radar for quite a long time now. After that, second place at Brighton, and also was beaten a long way by Winchell before that time, and then he went on and won at Goodwood the next time and was beaten by Battersea, obviously franked the form. And following that, he's been pretty consistent up until his last start, when you could say that he had a 54-day break and he was beaten 8 lengths that time in the hands of Ryan Moore, and now he gets O'Sheen Murphy. But look at the weighties. The weighties off is quite a lot in comparison to how much he gets, over a stone from Dashing Star, which I think is a significant amount. And I think Oasis Fantasy, after he had a bit of a break, I'm going to use that as the excuse for his less than satisfactory run last time out. The other one I think that is really interesting and deserves to be favourite, and there's a really interesting story behind this, is Knife Point. And I am a big fan of High Chaparral German horses, considering Lucky Lion, etc. But Knife Point, the true story, as written in Hugo Palmer's blog on Stan James, is that they bought this horse at the sales in Baden-Baden, and they thought, yeah, really great. And then suddenly people came up to them and saying, sorry, you haven't got our winning bid. There was someone too short in front of you that thought they'd got it. Because they didn't speak German, all the people who in German have been told that this horse wasn't for sale, because it turns out it was owned by a very rich Russian businessman. And there were lots of threats to kill the owner as a result. So they wanted, so they did manage to get it, and they were going to. The Russian businessman was offering them, a lot more money than they actually paid, but they still managed to take the horse home. And they wanted to name it Mafia Boss, but instead, because the horse is by Knightsbridge, it had to be named with a K, so that's why it's called Knife Point. So that's the interesting story behind Knife Point, and has been a really consistent horse. Especially considering that was the one that finished ahead of Oasis Fantasy last time out, and also finished ahead of Battersea in another race won by Farquhar. So yeah, I think your two to follow are Oasis Fantasy each way, and Knife Point for the win.
If you get short on money while you're at university, I would not recommend reading bedtime stories to kids. That was terrifying.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be quite creepy, Luke. It's not really part of my repertoire, reading
Community service. Yeah.
Random. Do you want a story? That'll be £5, please, mate.
You don't demand the money out of the kids, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know. I grasp the concept of exchange with adults.
Well, I don't know, you work with us, so. Also, I think Oasis Fantasy is price-wise, so I'm not sure how much each way that you're going to get about that.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Apologies.
Another
horse at price-wise is Module, and he runs in the 3 o'clock at Aintree. The Betfred Money's Garden Old Rowan Chase. What a lovely horse Money's Garden was. It's a grade 2 over 2.5 miles, a much stronger race than it was this time last year. We've actually got some really nice horses in it, and possible Ryanair, maybe, well, not Gold Cup contenders, Ryanair contenders, we'll say. It's nonetheless a tough race to try and get your way through. Conquisto was second in this last year. then again, I say it was a much easier race this time around last season. What's your idea of the winner, Adam?
If he's ready tomorrow, I think OnTheOtherHoof is the best horse in the race, and he proved that at both spring festivals. Given Callum is not going to believe what I'm about to say these words, but he was given one of the losing rides of the week at the Cheltenham Festival by Robert Thornton from the front. It was
actually
superb. Yeah.
I'd like to vouch for Callum because we were on the stands.
Yes,
Yeah, I know
was
exactly what you're going to say.
He was saying how good Robert Thornton has been this festival.
Yes. I can
And
vouch for
then-
that, I remember that.
And then, who was it? Baldus to say man, whatever his name is,
Yes, good pronunciation.
said that a better jockey would have still won it. So, you know.
In fairness, by that point, I think Steve had about 4 hip flasks full of whatever the Irish
that
guys
is
were giving
true.
him.
That is true.
It's like, oh, Callum, you could have written that to win. Whether he's watching tonight is another story. Steve, if you are.
He's
Sorry
given one
to
of
interrupt you, Adam.
Okay. And then he went to Aintree, and AP gave him a brilliant ride from the front and beat Oscar Whiskey, and deservedly won a Grade 1. I think he is a Ryanair contender, and off a mark of 158, he's getting £6 from Module, who's a fair performer, having been third in the Champion Chase, looking to want further that day as well, and he could make up into a Ryanair contender as well. But yeah, I think Module. I think OnTheOtherHoof wins. But looking in behind, there are plenty of these that I think will need the run, and one at a big price that I will put up for place. I think Viva Colonia could easily run into a place with most of these needing the run, because he was third in it a year ago, given a strange ride. I think he could have won the race a year ago, and this is his trip these days. And he was going well in the top one when he made a mistake, and poor old Danny Cook fell halfway between the fence before Beechers and Beechers. See, he could be overpriced at 33s for an each way bet. So I think OnTheOtherHoof is likely the winner. I'm going to put up Viva Colonia each way as well.
Fair enough. I remember quite a few people tipping up Viva Colonia actually last year, and I sort of laughed at them for it wrongly. This is Michael's kind of race once more. Michael, your idea of the winner of the old run?
Yeah, it's a nice race, this. And I'd probably be looking at horses that are aiming at this race as opposed to aiming at races in the future. For example, Wishful Thinking normally needs a run at least. Used to run maybe about 5 last year. OnTheOtherHoof is obviously the class horse and really stands out when you look at the field, especially when you drop towards the bottom. But will he need this? I'm not sure. If he doesn't, then he shouldn't have a problem winning this whatsoever. He is obviously the class horse in the race. Rajdhani Express, never been a massive fan, but does go well fresh, and is one to probably just keep on the radar just in case, but I just can't go with that. Interesting to see Rolling Aces is going in new colours. Is it just other connections joined in with Rolling Aces, I think? Not quite sure.
Yeah, Paul Barber's still in it, so...
Yeah, so there's 2 others that have joined in. I am a fan of Agado Soul, but has now joined the Emmett Laval yard, which I don't find negative whatsoever, in fairness. But I'm not sure if he likes to go after a break as well. But anyway, getting on to the selections, the 3 that I think are actually aimed at this race would be Mr. Moonshine Conquisto and Viva Colonia. Mr. Moonshine, I think, would be the main selection on account of the fact that I think Sue Smith this is really his main target. They like Aintree a lot. He was third in the Beecher Chase. It was the Beecher Chase, wasn't it? Last year, and he only really lost it towards the end. And he was held up at that point, wasn't he? He didn't front run. He usually front runs. He was held up that time, and he was third behind Shots to Roy, and obviously Baby Run as well. And this is his kind of trip. I think perhaps that trip stretches him, and he beat Viva Colonia next time out at Musselburgh. I think this is Mr. Moonshine's race. He obviously came back from a layoff last time out, so they got him right and ready for this. He's off a pretty light weight when you look up at Module on 11 stone 10. He's on 10 stone 8, and I think Mr. Moonshine is probably your one to follow. Conquisto is going to be ready for this. This is going to be the time to catch it. And also Viva Colonia had a run on the flat recently, but I think this is possibly just a bit too classy this year. So for me, it's Mr. Moonshine. I really think this is his race.
Yeah, I think I said earlier that Conquista was actually second in this, when in fact he won it off £4, a £4 higher mark. He's off 146 today.
I'd also like to say, that Jumps is back when we are arguing over the pronunciation of Baldur's and we have the Chalk versus Hutch argument. I must admit, I haven't missed this.
Well, we can put it away for another week, I think, because neither of them are riding this week, and I haven't seen anyway. I know Hutch definitely isn't. Conquisto, though, tongue-tied first time off a mark of 146 is interesting. Brian Hughes takes the ride. Obviously, AP's down at Chepstow and wouldn't be able to ride in this race anyway because of Uxizondra. But I don't know, 6-1 might be a little bit slim, and I actually agree with Michael. A horse that I know me and Callum have shared a love affair for is Mr. Moonshine in the past, and I thought at one point he was going to win the Feltham. I think that was against Bobsworth.
Should have won that. Yeah, should have won that race. Got unlucky that day.
Went on with teeth for free. They went and cut each other's throats. Yeah.
Was it Henry Oliver that rode that day?
I don't know.
I remember that race. They cut each other's throats, and Teeth for Free's not a 3 mile around Kempton, so. Especially against Kempton, anyway.
It was Henry Oliver. That's why he lost it. Henry Oliver was riding. Very unlucky that thing. But obviously he's had his run back over hurdles, which is more eye-catching than not, to sort of put him right. I don't know if I agree with Michael. This is his target, probably early season target, yes, but I imagine his season will revolve around a return to the national fences.
Yeah.
Hopefully Grand National. Maybe me and Adam were talking earlier. Actually, maybe something like the Topham. Whether that would be sort of, I think that would probably be the right kind of race for him actually, because he jumps fantastically. He jumps about as well as you'll see any horse. 14-1, I can see being a really good each way price like Mr. Moonshine. So I'd side with him. Conquisto's still probably the most likely idea of a winner. However, I'd want a bit more than 6-1. The others at the top, I just can't really see many of them defying their marks. They're all fairly weighted highly now, and if they are, then they're going to be really sort of graded performers. So for me, I'm going with Mr. Moonshine, and hoping that he can roll back the years. He's 10 now. I can't believe that. Callum, are you keeping the faith with the Moonshine?
No. I like him more than most, to be honest, but there's quite a few. Nobody's mentioned Rajani Express, which I'm quite surprised about.
He's
one of the classier horses in the race, and ran a really good third in the Cheltenham Jumps Championship to Dinast, and then was a little bit disappointing at Aintree, but I think he's got a really good chance, and Samuel Coe can actually claim in this race, so that's a bonus. Uxizondra, again, really, really good race in the Jumps Championship when second to Tack under Soy, and then another really good, really impressive win at Aintree, and it's just really improved for more forceful tactics, and I think he could catch quite a lot of these out tomorrow, going out from a prominent position, and Gary Berrett's booked, which is a massive positive, so... Yeah, I can't see past him. I really can't see past him. Module way too high in the weight to me. Of 164, I think that flatters him. I know he's a horse that might improve over time. He's only 7, but I don't think he's much better than that. Whereas Uxizondra, I think, could at least rate into the high 160s. So I think he just outclassed him tomorrow.
Was that Mike Cattermore that called him Gary Berretti?
No, that was me at...
Cheltenham.
No, someone did it in commentary. They were at the top of the hill. I think it was Mike Cattermore. He goes, and Barry Garrity's moving closer. Good, yeah, good memory. I was going to try and make a joke about Rajdhani Express. You said Sam Wheelie Cohen claimed 3 now. It's like, that's the positive. The negative is that you've got Sam Wheelie Cohen riding it still.
For £3, he's actually quite a decent value claimer.
I will say that was just me bowing to peer pressure then, because I do actually quite like Sam Wheelie Cohen. I think I prefer him more than most. So I was just trying to get a cheap laugh there, so I apologise. If Sam Wheelie Cohen's a big viewer of our show. He tunes in every single week, so apologies, Sam. The next race is actually quite an exciting one. The 315 at Doncaster, the DAC betting exchange, 33 bet handicap over 5 furlongs. And this, I imagine, is Michael's kind of heaven. I imagine he looked at this race and pulled a massive smile, and then he's going to pick the winner for us now.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed.
Why?
There's so many overexposed horses in here that are just really frustrating. It's just so much riffraff. So we'll try and cut it down for you.
You are way too posh to be at university.
You think I'm posh to be at university? The person I share a flat with goes to meditation classes.
He says he's not posh while drinking a can of Tennant Super Lager.
It's cloudy lemonade, actually, I'll have you know.
Whatever you want.
The horses that stick out for me are Lancelot du Lac. After a layoff, I think this one was pretty impressive a few times, especially at York. Seemed to impress last year. I think I won at York twice, if I'm correct, including after a pretty big layoff, 214 days. It's 105 days today. I think if that one's ready to go, it's got a really good chance in this kind of race. The other one that sticks out is Golden Steps, very unexposed for Marco Botti, especially in comparison to most of these. Last time out was pretty unlucky, went fourth, and then was only beaten and nosed by Highland and Clay the time before that at Ascot in the everyone's favourite day, Sugar Cup Day. Also beat Outdo earlier on in the season. Obviously, Outdo went on and won at Thirsk. It was Thirsk. No, Ripon. That was the race that he won. So it's Golden Step and Lancelot du Lac are the two for me. Steps is just carrying far too much weight. Although when you do take off the 7 claim, Steps is the class horse in this race. Kickboxer, I think, just does need fight. It does need 6 furlongs. I've always think 6 furlongs is the better trip for Kickboxer, even if the ground's softer. And I'm sure Confessional is going to pop up at some point. I'm just not quite sure when. And obviously, he was second last time out behind Duke of Firenze. But for me, I think I'd go with Golden Steps with a worrying bet on Confessional at, what is it, about 12 to 1.
Yeah, this Confessional is a horse I think I've only backed twice and I've got it right both times, so I think I hold the key to Confessional apparently. Adam, your fancy for the race?
I'm very sweet on Dungannon. He's got his blinkers. He won last time at Ascot. He won this race a year ago off a pound lower mark. And I'm hopefully finally going to get an Andrew Balding horse right, because I missed Dungannon last time out, and today I missed Spectator because I was really interested in him in the first time hood, which he was declared to run in at Goodwood, and then they forgot it. So he got to the start without his hood on, and today they remembered the hood, but I didn't realise he was running, so he absolutely romped home at Doncaster. I think that I really like Dungannon tomorrow. I know he's joint favourite, but I just think that with them blinkers on, he's only a pound higher than last year, and he'll go on the ground, so I really like him tomorrow. And he's the only selection I'm going to put up in the race, even though there is a Jad in there with Kevin Stott taking the 5 off. I think he's plenty high enough at the moment.
Yeah. I'm actually with a Jard tomorrow. It's been a horse that I think all of us have been looking out for at some stage of this season. He's been running really well since sort of coming back from a sort of mid-season break, I think he had. And last time out caught my eye because it was the race that Muthmir was meant to run in. Then we switched to Justice Day, and I thought about a furlong and a half out, a Jard was going to come there and sweep away with it, but he went from travelling really well to not travelling whatsoever, and then plugged on for a very modest 8th. Now, he got a couple of bumps from Steps that day, but that's no reason to stop the way he did. He was travelling really strongly. Kevin Stott takes 5 off, which makes life a little bit easier. He still has to run sort of to the levels that he has been against sort of the likes of Mecca's Angel. Last time out, Justice Day was a little bit below par, but I can see a Jard going well at a nice enough price. I agree with Adam's view on Dungannon completely. He sort of bumped into B52 around Chester, really, and B52 got the run of the race that day. He's a very hard horse to beat when everything's going right for him. Impressed with him last time out at Ascot. If he carries that forward, then he should go close. Confessional is one that I like, but I've always wanted it, sort of preferred him when it's a much more of a stamina test, i.e. maybe even 6 furlongs, but I don't know, for tomorrow I'm not really a fan of Confessional, and Ballesteros is the only other one I have to mention. That last week at Ascot, me and Callum went to watch Ballesteros' race and we're watching the wrong horse on the far side. And he actually came third on the near side. So if you take into account his draw that was awful over on the far side, he's done well to finish third. However, he was well beaten by Duke of Friends and by Confessional, who reopposes today. So Ballesteros, unless he really puts his best foot forward on the softer ground again, which everyone knows that he needs to have to run to his best, I can't really see him troubling the judge too much. But I'm sticking with Ajard tomorrow and hoping that he can bounce back from a below par effort last time out. Callum, we're going to make it a clean sweep of completely different horses mentioned.
Well, no, I mean, I was actually going to mention Ajard because he's a horse that I look at that form this season and think, how the hell has he not won a big handicap? Because they've ruined his mark. He was off 91 earlier in the season and could have won, I think, the large majority of sprint handicaps, and they decided not to. Well, it didn't really go right for him at Sandown, and then they won some messy conditions race at Leicester, and he went up £5. He's gone up another 2 for that really good third behind Mecca's Angel in the Group 3. Just not sure he really wanted it last time out. He was reluctant to send to the stalls, and I think he might have just had enough. If he hasn't, though, with Kevin Stott, who's a decent claimer, taking off 5 on good ground and with a lot of pace in this race, you know, Demora, seeing horses like Peterkin and B52, there's going to be a lot of pace on in this race, and it might just set it up for something closing like him. But the one I really like and has been on my radar for all season, and I haven't really backed him that many times, but I just think he's got a big one in him, is Golden Steps, who, he just keeps catching the eye every run. Real strong traveller, but is quite keen in his races. So stepping down to 5 furlongs could really be the making of this horse. And I really think it could be the going day for Golden Steps tomorrow. Just lot of boxes ticks, goes well on soft ground, particularly well on soft ground. And in fact, he's been on my notebook saying that avoid when he has good to firm ground, but back in when he has softer ground. So for me tomorrow, he's really the one. But Dungannon's a danger. Won it last year, albeit Oisin Murphy claimed 5 then. He claimed £5 then. A year ago, he was claiming £5. Demora should go well, but I think it's vulnerable. Steps, quite high mark. Kickboxer, I think had enough last time out. Jamaican Bolt, I can't see running after winning today. Wouldn't have him anyway. But I'll put Ajard up a little. I'd have a sneaky bit on Ajard each way, but definitely Golden Steps, main fancy of the race. I think really good chance tomorrow.
I couldn't put you off that at all. The second to last race that we're going to be covering really in depth is a 3:30 at Newbury. The Bathwick Tyres handicap over a mile, 2 furlongs and 6 yards. Adam is pulling a face.
Yeah. When I saw this race at the 5-day stage, I was shocked at how it's not a good race. And then I saw it again today, and I was just like, oh, it's not a race that I'm enthusiastic about tomorrow. But I think it's one of the... I will even go out and say I think it's one of the worst races we've had on the other hoof on Channel 4.
We've had some bad races.
Yeah. Do you want me to give a selection?
Yeah, try and be enthusiastic.
Well, Hi There won this race 12 months ago on similar ground. Sorry, Michael. I've just stolen his selection. He's been running over. He ran well earlier in the season behind Sanofi and Star, and he also ran well behind Farage at Epsom. And I just think he came back to. He went up to 12 last time out, and I think coming back to 10 furlongs. I think this has been planned for some time. And Sammy Jo Bell taking 5 off, and she's a good claimer as well. And I don't really like Hi There, but it's the only one I could put up with conviction in this race tomorrow.
Yeah, I like Hi There as well. Ground's fine. Sam Bell's in decent form, taking 5 off. There's not much else you can say about most others in the race. So I'm sticking with Hi There, hopefully returning to the form of his sort of early season exploits. Other than that, you can't really say much else about the race. It is not a good race by any stretch of the imagination for me anyway. Michael, can you be more enthusiastic about this race?
No. I'm really surprised they've just Channel 4. I think it's just the way it's worked, but there's obviously the Phillies listed race earlier on that they haven't got on Channel 4, and instead they've decided to go with what even I would say is a very uninspiring handicap. I know a few people who I've been tipping up Varano much to their. They haven't had much luck throughout the whole season if you've been tipping up Varano, but I'm sure they'll go in again tomorrow. Good luck with that. If Haley Turner will forward for Brian Meehan, I'm just not interested whatsoever. High there on the ground is the main thing that really draws me in. Montevideo claiming off 5, so it gets over a stone from the top 3 in the market. And the one, it's top 3 in the weight, sorry, not in the market. The one that really frustrates me and the one that could absolutely hose up here is the one that doesn't really want it, and that's Spar's Dancer, who when he places is a really good horse. He was second behind Gabriel's Kaka in the Spring Cup earlier on in the season, and then was just beaten a neck by Cash Point in an okay class 2 at Redcar. And he's the horse that he's the best horse in the race really at the end of the day, but he doesn't like winning. And in fact, what's his form figures read? 4 wins.
It's not pretty. Yeah.
Four wins, which I'm even surprised he managed to scrape 4 wins together. But then you look at his second and thirds, which amount to 17 second and thirds, which is ridiculous. So if you want to place bet, Spar's Dancer is the one. I can't really. It's very difficult to give a win selection because it's none of them are in serious form. Ennistown has got a lot of weight to hand away, but at least that one's won last time out. Star Watch ended his winning run last time out, and I'm not sure if he's going to go on from that here. So I think I won't be having a bet, but Spar's Dancer is a definite place bet in this because it's such a weak race.
Yeah, he hasn't won since sort of early 2013 by my watch.
Yeah, that sums his attitude up very well.
Yeah, May 2013. I actually backed him and he won at Sandown, I think 2 or 3 years ago. But Seb Sanders gave him an absolutely brilliant ride that day. It was one of the ones where everyone goes far side, he comes near side. So yeah, he's very much a temperamental horse.
Oh, is this in May? Was it in May this time? Because it was the jockeys that he's won on are Ryan Moore
in 2011.
2011. Oh, Seb Sanders it was, yeah.
Yeah, I remember it vividly because it was the only one I had on the day. So, but yeah, Spar's Dancer, I completely agree. Real attitude problems there, and I think me and Callum have actually discussed that before. So I assume Callum won't be going for Spar's Dancer.
Yeah, he wins at Sandown. Only runs well at Sandown.
The ground is fine. I'll give him that.
Yeah, the ground is fine, and it is an awful race. Well, for a Class 2 handicap, it's an awful race. To be fair, the price money's dreadful as well. For a Class 2 handicap, 12,000 to the winner on a Saturday is not very good, especially for a track like Newbury. If you're backing Varano, you need your head testing. The horse has won 1 race in his career. He's trained by Brian Meehan and he's ridden by Haley Turner. It's probably my nightmare combination. So
I'm quite subtle when I was just like, oh, and he's ridden by Haley Turner.
Straight in there, bang, right in the kisser. I was a bit disappointed Lael's not running because he's actually a horse that I quite rate. I probably would have tipped him up high there. I was going to mention actually Sammy Jo Bell. I remember she used to be down in the race card as Samantha Bell, but she's now Sammy Jo Bell, which has been for a while. Why did she change?
Down a strange at the races still.
Yeah, she's down on
still Samantha Bell on race cards.
On here it's Sammy Jo on RP.
What website are you looking at?
Racing Post.
Of course you are. There we go. There's your answer right there.
I've got to stop using this stupid website. Ennistown's favourite. I think he deserves to be. He's just the horse that I don't think stays 12 furlongs, but wants a proper stamina testing 10. Loved the hill last time out at Pontefract when beating Woodacre. Magnifica 12 form boost with Woodacre. And Ennistown, he's really well bred. He's only gone up £3 for that. And I think he could just be too good. He's got form on soft ground. It just sticks out like a sore thumb in a pretty crap race.
Yeah. Are the Magnifica 12 form boosts not going to stop now?
No, they're not gonna stop. There was one the other day as well. Colour Squadron finished second. I was getting ready. Honestly, I was getting ready to tweet Magnifica 12 form boost #Colour Squadron. Then he got collared on the line, didn't he? What a dog.
See, I'd love to to be mentioning form boosts for the horse that I've got to share in Heltara, but I looked through the bumper that she ran in the other day, and I don't think anything's come better than 5th since. And
You'll
like
get them soon. You'll get them soon when you go 3 mile novice hurdling. Don't worry.
winner of the Albert Bartlett right there. Got a great chance in the America's Cup as well. 350 at Doncaster is the main race of the day, which is the Racing Post Trophy. Group 1 run over 1 mile. The final Group 1 in the UK racing calendar. Elm Park is not really that short price favourite actually, but we all quite like Elm Park as a horse. Do we like him tomorrow though, Callum?
Yeah, again, I think a pretty solid chance. And last time out, he just got outpaced and then ran on late on. The ground probably a little bit too fast for him. He's going to stay well next season, and he's a really nice horse and deserves to be right ahead of the market. I was a little bit surprised he wasn't leading last time out. I expected him to go from the front and try and win it from the front. And if they're doing that in a race like the Royal Lodge, I don't see why they're going to be doing it tomorrow. But I think it'd be really advantageous if they do, because on that ground, I think it'd be hard to make ground up, and he might just, he got from the front. It'd be really hard to pass, and it's a Group 1, so you've got to be taking this seriously. I know they see him as a real horse for next year, but you've got to be taking a race like this seriously. I really like this Aidan O'Brien horse, Jacobine, or however you say it. I'm going for Jacobine.
It's do you not know it? It's Mr. Bean's son, Jacob Bean.
Good old Jacob. Yeah, I was really impressed by this horse's debut, and it was quite interesting in the market of this race because Aidan O'Brien had 3 in it. There was one that went off around 16 to 1 in the morning. I can't remember the name of it. It was Royal Navy Ship, and it ended up winning. Most prominent of all of them, and won really well. But Jacobine made up so much ground that day, and I guarantee you 150% he looked the best horse in that race. If he'd won that race, had a form figure of 1 coming into a Racing Post Trophy, he would be 6-4 in this, without any doubt whatsoever. I think he should be okay on the ground, and I really like him tomorrow. I'm not really convinced by... Sometimes not convinced by Aidan O'Brien horses coming into these sort of races, and I think they're a bit hyped, but he looks a really good horse, and I've just got a real feeling. It's more of a gut instinct that I think he'll win tomorrow, and win really well. So, Jacob Bean is your winner.
Jacob Bean wins the Racing Post Trophy. As I think everyone now knows, I'm a big fan of Elm Park. Last time, I'm not sure if he was outpaced. I just don't think he really liked the Rolling Mile whatsoever. I really don't think he took to the undulations. So back at a course, or a more conventional course like Doncaster, I think he's going to be absolutely fine in it. I agree with that he didn't lead last time. I think he's probably got stamina to burn over this trip, and if they don't front run with him, they're really missing out, or missing a trick on him. So I expect him tomorrow to be up with the pace with Stelmano, who, again, is a horse that just likes to grind it out. But it's not a dazzling race by any stretch of the imagination. Well, not at this current moment in time. Maybe next year we will have a better gauge on it. But Elm Park stays a mile well, has enough pace to more than keep up, come from behind as he proved last time. May not have been the strongest race with basically only 1 horse to beat, and being Nafakar. And Nafakar I don't think is the most straightforward of characters, but Elm Park at 7-4, I was expecting a little bit shorter if I must be honest. Andreas saying he's a fantastic jockey book, and I think he's going to do a brilliant job for Qatar Racing next year. And I'm really sweet on Elm Park for tomorrow. Next season, I'm not sure how they're going to place him, because I don't think he'll handle Epsom. I don't think he'll go well in the Derby. So something like the French Derby is a possibility for him. But tomorrow, getting tomorrow out of the way first is going to be main priority. And I think Elm Park will win the Racing Post Trophy tomorrow. And I think he'll go on to bigger and better things next season as well. Adam, you are also a fan of Elm Park. Are you a fan tomorrow?
Well, I have to be now, because my actual selection, I think, will be a non-runner, which is Celestial Path. I will talk about him just in case he isn't a non-runner, because his Haydock win for me was so impressive. I mean, the way he lengthened in the final furlong was just... I was so impressed that day. His time compared favourably with Captain Cat, who ran 2 hours earlier, and there was a sharp shower in between those races, so for him to be within a second of that, and Captain Cat is a really good horse, I was just really, really impressed. And not normally would I look at a time of a race and be like, oh, I'm going to use that as evidence, but with that, I was really impressed with him. And Sir Mark Prescott rarely has a 2-year-old winner first time out as well. If he does run, I actually wouldn't be that concerned with him on the ground, but just because I think he's going to be a non-runner, I'm going to side with Elm Park. I mean, I agree with you guys, with Luke and him saying that he didn't like the undulations at Newmarket, and he's got no chance in the Derby round Epsom. A race that I think was not the French Derby. I think he'd want further than the French Derby. I think something like the Grand Prix de Paris at Longchamp in July. I think that would suit him perfectly. Or maybe even further down the line, St Ledger could be his race. I think he could stay that far next year. And we all know last year's Racing Post Trophy winner, the impressive Kingston Hill. I think the fan club will be watching, so they'll love it. The fact that I've got a mention for him. He won this race very smartly, and then went on to win the St Ledger. How he did, I don't know. But yeah,
he ran faster than the others.
Yeah, he ran faster than the others.
Which is no mean feat, really.
Yeah, I know. We're seeing fate in the race. Yeah. Yeah, if Celestial Path does run, I think he's got a huge chance, and I think he'll handle the ground, but I don't think he will run, so I am going to put up Elm Park.
Yeah, I agree with that. Michael, your fancy for the Racing Post Trophy?
Yeah, just confirm it's Jacobean, and it's a period of English history actually, following James I. So that would be
such a nerd.
That would have been Gunpowder Pot. As soon as I heard Jacobean, I was like, I'm pretty sure I recognise that, so I just had a quick Google just to check.
Jacobean.
I think Elm Park is definitely the one to be with, and the market's got it right. I'm also surprised that it's not actually a bit shorter than that. And the one that I think it's an interesting race to watch, but these kind of 2-year-old competitive races are not normally races that Michael's interested in. Yeah, I am using the third person now. But I am surprised on the price of Cock of the North, especially over a mile now, because Cockney Rebel was a miler and Lahib was also a miler. Like soft ground, hasn't been disgraced in some really good events. Obviously, started his career here and pretty impressively in whatever the first 2-year-old.
Brocklesby.
Yeah, that's the one. And yeah, I've always been a fan of Cock of the North. 33 to 1 is a decent each way price, and I think a few bubbles could be burst here. As for the others, I don't know enough about them to suggest where they're going to sit here. And I think Elm Park sets a really nice standard, and it's the one you're all going to recognise, the one you want to be with. But for me, Cock of the North is an each way selection, and it'd be quite nice for Freddie Tylicki and Scott Nixon.
Yeah, I think Cock of the North will have a good chance actually if he settles, which he did not do early on in the Solario. Last chance to get questions in for tonight's show, and fancies as well. We'd love to hear your fancies for tomorrow's racing. We'll be doing naps in a second. I'm sure Michael's going to have a naughty lucky 15 for us, which we have greatly missed. Sort of. Questions in. We haven't had many tonight actually. Kai Wills says, Sondy Burley or Elm Park, which would be the better bet? Double him.
Yeah, put him in a double. Yeah, I go with that.
Sondy Burley.
Yeah, well, Sondy Burley is the better bet out of the two, but double him. I've realised with Kai, he always sends in 2 horses that he likes, and which one's the better bet. We either say double them or neither.
Yeah.
And they tend to come out and say neither. Hopefully with a double it will come in tomorrow. So Sondy Burley probably marginally the better bet, but I'd double them for sure. I apologise to William Harris for starting a bit early, apparently. The first time we got a complaint about that, because his microwave meal wasn't going to take long, but apologies for that. We hope you enjoy your microwave meal as well.
I'm a uni student and I didn't make a microwave meal. I made homemade tagliatelle. I was pretty impressed.
Well, Callum, last week...
Not the actual pasta, I bought the pasta. We call them tagliatelle. It has tagliatelle plus like mushrooms and bacon in it. It's really nice.
It's not homemade tagliatelle, is it?
No.
Not at all. Like, not in the slightest.
Not like
Kai is also endorsing... What was that?
Not like last week when we were late. We were going to go live at 8 o'clock, but somebody had cannellini. Not any old cannellini, M&S cannellini. We were 10 minutes late.
Wonder who that was?
Yeah, I wonder who it was.
We always wait for people to have dinner, and at one time, I get called out.
You dinner.
Never. No, that's the first time ever.
Kai is also endorsing Callum's renaming of the Cheltenham Festival as the Jumps Championship.
Do we call Gold Cup Day Champions Day now? Jumps Champions Day.
No, Champions Day is the first day apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have to rename the races like. So the Gold Cup will be the Champion Stayers Cup, maybe, or
And the champion hurdle will be
Champion
the
Steeplechase.
Hurdle.
Yeah.
The champion hurdle will be the champion.
Grand National is the long
Champion Timber.
The Grand National's long distance cup, yeah.
The Grand National is the long distance. Wow, marathon.
Oh my god. Never do that again.
Phil Dinsdale has welcomed Michael back by saying it's good to see the tax dodger back.
I've worked since I was 13, so I don't really think I'm the appropriate person to be aiming a tax dodger thing at.
And he reads bedtime stories to kids, so
Yeah,
he's got a bit of a job on there.
I don't. Just in case I need a CRB check, I don't.
As if someone's going to watch this and go, let's check if he's got a CRB check. And Phil has also, I don't know what one is, probably at Spar's Dance Day, said I'm going to rephrase it. It's surprising that Luke Elder backed a winner because he doesn't back that many. He doesn't back that many winners. I'm not willing to use summer language. But that is all the questions for tonight. Michael,
I've got one more.
I
I sent another one in. He asked us if we thought Sausalito Sunrise was a good thing at Chepstow tomorrow.
Sausalito sausage.
Yeah. That novice chase actually is a good race. I think all 6 of them could go in with a chance. I think Sausalito Sunrise will win tomorrow, but I think it's a really good race and one that you should follow the form of that race. I will say.
I'm waiting for Luke to talk about Leo Luna as he did for the majority of last season.
Oh no, it'd be a horrible racer. No, for me, not a chaser whatsoever.
Fair enough.
Plus the ground is on the soft side, and she will hate that. So. Or he'll hate that. Sorry. Yeah. Michael, Naughty Luck 15.
Naughty Luck 15 has quite a lot of old favourites. We obviously have Cock of the North and Shagar, also known as Shagger. And then we have 2 opposing arguments when we go with this horse. I can't believe I haven't heard of this horse before. Backdoor Approach, which is a very class name. Very impressed with that. Well done. I'm going to thank the owner personally, Mr. Ray Antel. Well done. Well done. And the opposing argument is No Buts, and that runs at some other place later on in the day. So there's your 4.
That's adventurous.
Right. Naps. Callum, your nap for tomorrow?
I'm going to go risky. 7:40 at Mooney Valley, Adelaide.
Ooh!
Yeah, there we go.
Getting your day off to a good start then.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm actually going to miss that race because I'm going to be travelling off to Bet Racing Nation. That's really irritating. Yeah. Right, Adelaide for Callum. Adam goes for...
Boone Doomer at Chepstow. I think he's ahead of the handicapper. I did toy with Pigeon Island, who is unbelievably well handicapped in the Veterans Chase. But I put Boone Doomer up in the Jumps preview video, and I think he's well ahead of the handicapper still.
He's also Pigeon Island's also grey number 5. Boone Doomer really is a scouse. It's the worst horse for scousers, isn't it?
No, it's not. By the way,
anything that's got double vowels.
Yeah. You also get a price on Boone Doomer because Regal Encore is running, and Regal Encore is one of the biggest hype horses I think I've ever come across in national history.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. Mikael.
Who?
You.
Yeah. Difficult. I also found it really funny that Brown Panther's full brother is now called Cocker. I'm looking forward to that one running on Saturdays. And my nap is going to be Sky Hunter.
Clay Hunter. I am siding with Sandy Burley in the Persian War at Chepstow. I think it's a horse that we've all been sort of eagerly awaiting running in this race. It's been his target since he landed in England from running in France. He's with Nicky Henderson now. AP has his, I don't think it's his comeback ride, but he is choosing to ride Sandy Burley ahead of going up to Aintree to ride Uxizandra, which I think could speak volumes. And I also think Sandy Burley is the perfect horse for this race because, as we mentioned in our jump preview, he is no longer a novice by the end of this month. So I think tomorrow should be a walk in the park for Sandy Burley.
Don't back him. Whatever you do, if you see him in the market for the Neptune, do not back him for the Neptune because he won't run.
Exactly.
Because I noticed that one or two bookmakers had him priced up.
Are they actually?
Yes.
It's on Oz
really
check
bad.
he's priced up. Bad bookmakers.
Yeah.
No, it's not
You
good.
get your money back though. You will get your money back because it's an error by them, so they have to give you the money back.
I think they should
I'm
pay you out. They should pay you out on the bet.
They do, yeah. They pay you. Oh, pay you up
No,
for
they
full
should
bet.
pay you out as a winning bet.
Yeah, they should. They're mistakes.
Well, it would have won.
Yeah, with absolute certainty. Right, that's done for tomorrow. Not much else to say other than we are back next Thursday probably to preview the Breeders' Cup Friday. Then we're back on the Friday. Oh, we haven't discussed if we're doing a normal video on Friday or a Breeders' Cup video.
I'm not here, so
Callum's not here.
no, not Friday. Can we do it Thursday? Can we talk about this off air?
No, I want to discuss it right now. We'll be back next Thursday to discuss the first day of the Breeders' Cup meeting at Santa Anita. We hope you can join us then. Until then, though, goodbye.